Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Ebony Bagley, and today I have a very special guest, one of my good friends, and also another fellow former teacher and a mom like myself, Joanna Serra. Thank you for being here today. And we're going to pretty much get into it. As you all know, we are all gearing up for going back to school. And, with the coronavirus and everything in our country, for a lot of our states, we have just learned of, at least right now, as it looks like, we've learned of their plans, what the plans, at least the tentative plans, what it's looking like for our districts. Just a little background about myself. I'm here in Oakland County, Michigan. Joanna is in Macomb, Michigan. And so we both are going to talk about some of these things. We haven't talked really a lot about it. So this is a conversation that we're going to have, and we are having it from the perspective of we're two moms trying to figure it all out. So thanks, Joanna, for being here today.
Thank you, Ebony. Thank you for having me.
And also for all of my new subscribers, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you're, here all the time, just go ahead and hit that like button. And please let us know as we're talking your thoughts and your perspective and how you're really feeling in the comments. Because again, we are all trying to figure it out. Again, if you're new, I'm a working mom. YouTube's not my job yet or anything like that. I am literally working like many of you are. Joanna, you can go ahead and share a little bit about yourself.
Same thing. And I think, Ebony, you made a great point, is we're all in this together. So many parents and families right now are in the same position, deciding what the best thing is to do for their family come fall, return to school. My name's Joanna, and Ebony, once again, thank you for having me. And I am a mom to two school-age children. They're 6 and 7, so they're going into 1st and 2nd grade. And I am also a business owner, which I work at full-time. Sometimes I go into the office, sometimes I work from home. And then I also full-time help my husband's business as well. So I have 2 careers that I'm juggling, as well as managing the household and all the other things that come with that. And then, of course, as we all saw in the spring, learning how to homeschool and manage the new virtual curriculum as well, that was inevitably, thrown at us. So that's my story.
Yeah, so again, wearing many different hats, so we definitely are trying to figure it out, because the reality is, I want to talk a little bit about first, before we get into it, about right now our back to school plan. And the plan is, I don't know what your district's plan is, but in my district, at least, they are planning to have in-person learning. That option is available. They have 3 options pretty much available. So they are having the in-person learning, but the kids will still, if I'm understanding correctly, and it's still a little confusing, it looks like they still will be learning on computers in these classroom. If they're going to the school, they'll still be using computers. So everyone's doing this virtual curriculum, but they will have a teacher for certain groups and for some classes. That's what and then the second option is the slow start plan, or the smart start plan is what they're calling it out here. And that's the plan where, you might keep them home until things get better, and then you can move them into the hybrid, which is the 2-day a week, is what they said. And then eventually would be the 5-day a week. And then the third option, which is the one that I'm most probably going to have to do just for my own sanity, is the virtual opportunity. And I have not talked to enough moms to know, but how is it looking for out there where you are?
So similar, and I think I'm seeing a lot of the similar trends among the different districts, although I have seen across the country, some districts are just saying that they're going to go virtual right away, immediately, and focus their efforts on putting all of their energy into creating the virtual program or remote learning, however you want to call it. But here our district is doing something similar. We do not have a hybrid option, but we do have the option of either going virtual right away or going into the classroom following the Michigan roadmap recommendations as far as safety goes. So those are our 2 options right now, and our district has done some virtual forums where you can go on and the leaders are on live and you can ask questions. And right now their focus is on the learning portion. So they are planning those 2 options and gathering data for that. So they are creating a program where it will be hopefully seamless to go one way or another. So for example, if you choose virtual for a semester, but you want to later go into the classroom, they will be offering that transition. Or if let's say someone gets sick in the classroom, or I know we don't know all the details on what the process is going to be if that does happen in the classroom, but if someone gets sick and needs to be out for a couple weeks, that teacher is going to have virtual students and in-person students, from my understanding, the whole time.
Yep.
So if kids need to shuffle back and forth, the teacher will be, the students will all be still together, and then that teacher will still have the same cohort of students so that they can kind of go back and forth. So that's their plan right now, is to have one teacher doing both. Originally, I envisioned some teachers being just virtual, some teachers being just in person.
Same.
But
which would be, as a former teacher, I would think that would be easier, right? On the teachers. I'm just thinking, like, what makes sense? Yeah.
Right. So that's their plan right now, it seems like, is deciding between the two. But whether schools do actually open up when it comes to that time, or if we are going to just go straight to virtual, my prediction is that whether it's right away or in a couple weeks after school starts, I think inevitably we are going to be back all in the virtual remote learning model. That's my prediction.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, as a former teacher, we know, based on this, and I'm following the CDC guidelines, I'm following what the health department here is saying in our state and in our different counties. And, the reality is kids get sick anyways, right? We know how it is at the beginning of the year. They're all sick because they're all adjusting to each other's germs again, and, from being at home or not just in that environment. So, if you have a sniffle, how do you know that you shouldn't quarantine that classroom, based on what we are being told, Right. And so I just feel like I feel the same way, which is why, even though it's not an easy decision, I am going to go just the virtual route off the bat. I did a video earlier, a couple weeks ago, just talking about that. But again, it's the whole fear factor. I don't want my kid in this environment where it's just so unhealthy and like fear, and I'm already stressed about pulling them out, but I am still working like you are. So how are you planning on juggling this all, and you have the 2 school age kids. So I really want to hear from you. And I know that I'm so excited to have you on, because I know you have some amazing solutions and resources for us coming up to kind of really give us some ideas about planning, because that's what we want to get into. So let's just talk about, how you're juggling it all. And then I really want to get into this amazing plan that you've developed.
Sure. Thanks, Ebony. So I wholeheartedly agree. I think that, and that is one of the main reasons my husband and I made the decision to go ahead and go with remote learning right off the bat and enroll in that portion, because I don't want my son running around and, playing tag and being punished for doing something that kids normally do. And I don't want them to think that that is wrong. And I just think that for that and many other reasons, we just decided to go ahead with the remote learning. And because I really do think that at some point we're going to be virtual anyway. And that transition was difficult for us last year. And I think starting off with a plan and having it all ready and just going with it and knowing and not having to sit at the edge of your seat wondering what's going to happen and when schools are going to close, or if there's going to be a case, or what's going to happen if that happens as well, which seems unclear. It's better to just right off the bat, in my opinion, for us to plan so that we don't have to worry about shuffling work schedules and taking turns and not giving kids the best quality. And that's another thing I wonder too, and I wonder if I'm sure you've thought about this, is what kind of quality will the education be? I know the leaders of the districts, and I know the teachers are working very hard, but regardless of how hard you work to plan and plan and plan, what will the education look like when the teacher is wearing a mask, she's trying to juggle virtual and in person, she has to monitor the kids and their mask wearing or whatever and keeping them separated, on top of that trying to provide them things that they have to learn and understand and grasp. And that's, I think, one of the struggles that's going to be happening too.
A major struggle. And I think it's something that you don't hear when you just turn on to like your CNN, because they're so focused on an election, right? You don't hear about these real issues that are really the real concerns that we are all having, that are leading to like literally mental health, a whole array of mental health issues, I'm sure. But yeah, I think too, as a former teacher, we're talking about an industry that's already burnt out, and so in addition to all of that, I feel like the expectation of the whole virtual and in teaching, and then we're not also considering that teachers have kids, which is like never considered, but teachers have kids too. And so I think it's really, that's one thing that I feel is really sad about all of this. It's just like you don't hear the teachers. I'm not hearing enough from the teachers, which is why even Monday, please tune in. I am going to have a panel of teachers on. And if you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to have a panel of teachers on just to talk about like how they're really feeling. Because I don't know. I'm a former teacher, but I don't know. And I can't speak from that perspective. I can speak from the perspective now as a mom and kind of having some insight to, I can imagine what they are all going through. But yeah, and I think
it's so much uncertainty though still. And I think that a lot of parents, what I'm seeing online is they want more details on these virtual programs, and they want more details on the health procedures that are going to be happening as well, for them to make the best decision for their family. And I think a lot of districts are waiting until that August 15th deadline that she gave. And I that's making it hard for families, I think, to plan.
Yeah.
That's another reason where I just decided to go remote, because it's just, you need to know the details of what's happening to make your decision, but those details are still being held up for, and I know things are changing every single day and everything, and you have to adjust your plans. But I think that before parents can truly make a decision, we're all kind of waiting for those plans.
And I think too, my whole thing is I want to keep things as normal as I can kind of for my kids, or as like if I can create the structure and the normalcy, then I'll do that. I want to go ahead and switch gears though. And I really want to get into this amazing plan because, I'm a working mom, and that's my main thing. Like, what's going to work for me? Like, can I really do it all? Can I like literally give my 100% to my job and this whole learning thing? Because I know what it takes to be a good teacher. I know what it takes to get these kids to certain levels. And I don't know if I have not been doing that. Let's be real. Not been doing it, thank God summer's here, because, the struggle was real before. And I was happy to have the break. But we've got to look at other options. And we also, I think, we're in a space where we know we can't rely on, like you said, August 15th, we can't rely on, our leaders to make decisions for us. I think it is kind of incumbent upon us now. And so I want to get into this resource. You have it shared on your blog site. I'm going to ask you to share your screen eventually or when you're ready, but tell us a little bit about what it is, what inspired you to do this, and share away. I'm so excited.
Okay. Might take a few minutes.
Take your time.
So basically, I think one thing that is important for parents to remember is that it's not fair to compare your homeschooling, remote learning that you were thrown into in the spring to a true homeschooling, virtual learning that can be planned out environment, because that was something that we were all temporarily thrown into, but it kind of became permanent. But I think that it was more like crisis teaching versus necessarily having it planned out and ready. So I don't think it's fair, and my hope is that it's not fair to compare it to the possible virtual programs the districts will have prepared for us, because I'm hoping with more planning and more time to think about it, that those programs will be a little bit more involved and planned out and have more, like live instruction, some testing and some benchmarks, etc., versus just everybody was last minute trying to make it work. So I always said to myself, I am not, especially after spring experience, I am not made to be a homeschool teacher. Now, I taught for many years. One of my biggest class sizes, I had 38 students with just myself as a teacher. It was a 6th grade classroom, no assistant, no co-teacher, anything like that. So, I feel like I can handle a classroom, but after my experience in the spring of trying to juggle working from home, household items, and also teaching my children and keeping up on their program was very mentally difficult. And now we did the best that we could, but those last couple weeks, we were definitely checked out and ready to move on. So I knew coming into fall that I had to have some sort of a plan for my sanity and some sort of a plan for my family to make sure that the education that the children have in the fall is going to be high quality and full of enrichment as well, not just, the crisis teaching again, because I don't think that's fair to the children. I don't think it's fair to our family. And I just think that there are better options up there. And one of the saddest things I've been hearing that I know you and I chatted about briefly, Ebony, is that there are women that are leaving their careers because they think that they don't have another option to fall. They're afraid, they're worried that if all of a sudden schools close down again, they won't have a choice. Their employers may not understand. They may not have a program in place for this. Maybe their employers already gave them some time off, but expected them now to have other plans. But some people, single parents, I just think that it's putting a lot of women, especially in a difficult, women and men, parents, but women in general, it tends to fall on us a lot to come up with that plan to make it all work. What do you think?
I agree, and I think about it often. And here's a quote. I followed this amazing page started by a mother, a career mother, a mother who works and also is trying to figure it out. And she's working again at the top of her career field with her children, because you should be allowed to do both. It just should be allowed,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And so here's just a quote. It's called Mother Honestly, though, and you can follow them on Instagram. They're also amazing on LinkedIn too, just providing resources. But it says, you know, women are the, here's a quote, just a random post. I don't know if I can't see it, but anyways, women are the shock absorbers for economies for our societies. Men are pitching in, but they're not pitching it enough to take the burden off of women who, as schools remain uncertain, as daycare remains uncertain, we're going to drop out of the workforce in record numbers. That's a direct quote. I don't know who the quote's from, Mara Bolis, but it's on Mother Honestly. But this is where we're at, where we're trying to organize because we don't have the answers. And, you know, I am so fortunate. You know, I left teaching in a lot of ways because I didn't see the work-life balance. That was one of the reasons. You know, I also switched those careers and went into news. Definitely didn't have the work-life balance. And I couldn't imagine what those mothers are going through in a field like that and other fields like that. You know, now I'm in a place where I am working for an organization that does understand. And I can't tell you the difference that it makes in the stress that I don't have, knowing that my job knows what we're doing. And they also know that we're so capable of still doing our work. And these are very inconvenient circumstances, and they're giving us a lot of grace. But for many, they don't have that. Most of us don't have that. That's the reality. And it's a big concern. It's definitely a concern of mine. And I don't think any of us are alone in that conversation, which is why we really have to explore some options. Sadly, you know, it's sad we're here, but we got to be real and figure out what is really going to work. No boxes, there's no box anymore. What's going to work for our families? And so let's go ahead and get into your blog. I'd love it, and just kind of walk us through it. I think it's such a full resource. So literally, you know, if you're thinking about, I know like pod learning, if you're thinking about maybe getting together with like a group of parents, maybe you're thinking about getting a teacher. This is what this blog is for, and this resource is for. And I know we'll provide all of that. The link will be down below. So
thank you. Ebony. And that's another good point you made. I mean, there are so many jobs that can't be done from home. A lot of careers.
Both doctors.
Yeah, you need to be there in person.
Our essential care workers that we said we cared about so much.
So sad. It's incredibly sad. So one thing that I came up with, and I started chatting with a few local moms about, is shared homeschooling. And now there are a lot of names for this type of teaching, shared teaching. It's called, there's a version called cottage schooling. And then there's some new terms popping up like learning pods and micro schooling, where basically what you do is you get together with a few like-minded moms in your neighborhood, possibly in your school district, with children that are a similar age, and you still support the school district by signing up for their virtual option, the remote option, because it's very important to still support our school districts, because they will only suffer later and our children will only suffer later. So I think that aspect is very important, to use their curriculum versus just using another homeschool curriculum that you find online. Plus then you'll be on pace with the other students in case you decide to join back in the next school year. So basically that's the idea, is you partner up and you take turns. Now I know some parents, and it's financially not an option.
Can I interject really quick about that one? Because I want to be clear. I don't want people to think, because I got some comments on my last video, so I want to be clear. I'm not speaking from a place of privilege. I understand that I probably, you know, which is why we want to provide different options. Everyone, we understand, can't afford a private teacher. So that's why it's getting back to the community. You know, maybe I can take the kids for one day. Joanna can take them for next, just using an example. So that is what she's talking about. Options for everyone.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying financially, that's exactly what I'm hearing, are some families are hiring a teacher, and that teacher bounces from house to house with the same set of students, or the same set of students go to one house all week, and that teacher teaches them there versus the parents taking turns. But financially and commitment wise, sometimes too, that's not an option for many families. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. So what I came up with here with a group of moms is not. Can you go ahead and share? I just want you to share that screen, because it's such a nice graphic too, and we can just dive right in. I love this. So this is technology. The blog. And it's just blog.birdieboutique.com, and you'll be able to see, when you go onto the blog, you'll be able to see all the different blogs that are here. Now this blog, just very briefly, has been shared over 25,000 times. And I actually wrote this. I spent like 3 nights not sleeping writing this when we first all had to learn quarantine learning, right, and teaching. And this one just had a lot of basic ideas on things to do at home with your students, ideas to learn indoors, outdoors, etc. And I kind of stemmed from this idea because I thought to myself, okay, if we are doing this, let's plan it in advance. We're all in the same boat. I'm going to be able to find other moms that have the same interests as me, that have similar age students, and let's help each other out because we're all in this together, so that I, if I need to, can take all the students one day, but the next 4 days they're going through different homes with another parent teaching them, but we're all following the same ideas and the same structure, so that I can still be a working mom. I don't have to lose my career, but I also keep my sanity. But also think about it. Instead of you teaching at home 5 days a week and being frustrated, if you just taught one day, you can really give it your all and give the kids an amazing experience, and it'll lessen a lot of that frustration and give the kids multiple experiences throughout the week, so that you're not trying to work from home and teach and manage life every day, all day during the week. You know, you reach out to your community and you split up a lot of the work that needs to be done. So the plan that we came up with here is basically, if you want to read this, it goes through a lot of the background on what's happening, on what will likely happen in the future. I think we can all agree that at some point schools will likely close down. I think it's hard to argue that they won't at some point, whether it's your individual school, your district, your city, or even your state. So here I have the learning model. Oops, clicked off for a second. The learning model that I kind of...
Oh, no. And I was just going to say, I love, even by you going through that and saying like, oh, the idea to like just only have them 1 day a week that removes the anxiety, you know, in itself, you know.
It really does. It really does. The responsibility, the anxiety, just the pressure, especially, Ebony, as you know, being a former teacher, the pressure that we have to make our kids, above and beyond. So the learning model here basically just talks about homeschooling, the term cottage school, and some of the new terms that are being thrown around there. But it basically says, instead of one parent feeling burned out or less motivated over time through teaching at home or guiding virtual instruction daily, you can give your full energy 1 day per week while allowing children to get that same energetic day full of lessons each and every day of the week by splitting it up with your cohort of families that you decide. So the cohort of families that we have is we have a group of 4 moms. We're actually going to do Monday through Thursday and take Fridays off, but keep those 4 days very, very instruction rich. And the students in there we have 2 first graders and 3 second graders. So that team works very well for us, and it's all inter-district students and families. One thing I think to think about before you go forth with this is the commitment. So I think that when you decide, okay, I want to do this shared homeschooling, you're committing to those other families, and those other families are going to plan to work. They're going to plan to do other things. So it's important to really think this through and decide if it's the right thing for you, and be honest with your team that you get with, and decide, like, are you going to try it for 6 months? Are you all committing to the full school year, etc.?
I think too, it's a great time to really be honest about your skill sets. Like, maybe you're not the academic parent. Maybe you're the parent that can do gym class. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're the parent that can teach piano. I don't know. But I think it's a really 100%. Good time for us to also teach our kids the value of skill sets and learning certain skills. So, you know, don't put too much pressure.
I have a whole section on that too, Ebony. Don't worry. So collaboration. So I was just saying, for this to be successful, 4 or 5 committed families within the same drivable area. And how do you find those families? I think if you get into your local Facebook, even community forums, your district forums, just reaching out to the moms that you met at your child's school and just saying, hey, can we possibly get together? I met with a homeschool group they're going to be a homeschool group doing the same option. And I just met with them last week, and there were moms in there where this is going to be their plan A, but there were moms in that group that this is going to be their plan B. And that's okay, because you can get with a bunch of moms and say, okay, hey, let's get together. And if schools do close, this is going to be our plan B, and we're going to jump into this plan right away. And that's okay. Whatever works for your family. And that's why I put this in here. I'm sure you've seen this around on social media.
Love it.
Practice this now, because whatever somebody chooses, and I've already had one person say something not very kind to me, whatever that family chooses, it's what they chose for their family, and that's okay. And considering the circumstances, I don't think we have any place to judge anybody right now and what decisions they're making for their family. I mean, we never do, but I'm just saying in this instance, when there's already so much stress and anxiety, shame on you. We do not.
I agree. I agree.
So, okay. So enrichment. I think one thing that my group and I decided is that we want to take this opportunity to not only follow the virtual curriculum, but we want to go above and beyond. What are some things that we can do that will make this such an extraordinary school year because of this opportunity that we have that normally maybe the students wouldn't have an opportunity to do during a regular school year? Now, I put cost here. There's obviously no cost if you're sharing this amongst parents, but our idea maybe was we throw in a little bit of every money for some of those extracurricular things, or
field trip
people that come in
opportunities.
with skills. Field trips. Maybe we have somebody that does karate come in once a month, or maybe we decide to have a piano player come in once a month. But also, Ebony, like you mentioned, you can be creative about this. Like, look at the moms in your group. Who do they know? What kind of skills do they have? Maybe we call in grandma because grandma knows how to sew and she can give the kids a sewing lesson. It doesn't necessarily have to be outsourcing. It's just basically looking at what everybody's skills are, but offering them that kind of enrichment. Now, another thing I put in here, and I know I'm talking fast, but I think it's important to have some sort of a classroom management plan. Even though it's a small group, we know from being in a classroom that behavior and other distractions and whatnot could really ruin it and, lessen the amount of teaching and learning and absorption that's going on. So I think it's important, whether it's a classroom plan where, hey, the kids are all working together as a team and encouraging each other. And if they get 20 marbles or points, then they earn something together as a team, or if it's individual, which I know a lot of the colors and stuff are being frowned upon now. So I think all depends on your group, but I think it is important to create some sort of a classroom management plan, even if it's
I don't even like to look at it as management. I use something similar just in my day-to-day. I call it goal setting. I think it teaches goals. This is the goal. If you screw up, you're not going to make your goal. Period.
Right.
And
I love that idea.
I think,
and then it's keeping it on the positive too. I love that.
Yeah, goals. We're teaching goals.
Exactly.
This is our goal.
I love that. But I love the team goals too. I mean, individual goals are important too, but I just like the idea of them encouraging each other versus being singled out.
Same.
Let's encourage each other to all do well.
Same.
Home responsibilities. So I put in here, you're going to have to decide as a team, is the mom that's teaching that day going to do daily snacks, or is everybody bringing their own snack and lunch, or is the host mom maybe going to put out some fun stuff to encourage kids to try new things?
Right, literally, you can take this guide. I just want to say for people who are tuning in, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button, but you can use this guide, take it to your mom meeting and go through and plan out your ideal.
This is free for anybody to use. Once again, I started to think about this and my anxiety did not lessen until I stopped typing. So the reason and only reason I wrote this is because I want other moms to know that are in the same boat, which is pretty much everybody. You have options. With a little bit of planning, you can make this work. You can still have your career. Even if you are a stay-at-home mom, it doesn't matter because you still need time to do the other things that you need to do in life. So this takes the pressure off of you. It just does take some pre-planning. So here I just included some indoor and outdoor activity ideas. All of this can be downloaded or saved, no issues. You don't have to give me even credit for it. It doesn't matter. Just save it and use it. I put in a section about health because you and your team have to decide what you're comfortable with. Is there a certain temperature you don't want, obviously, the kids to get together at? If there's vomiting, which we know sometimes, I feel like parents forget
doing vomiting
into school sick. So maybe this will change some methods at school too for the future, which would be nice.
It is. Schools are going to be so clean. They're going to be so clean.
They are, aren't they? Because I remember kids definitely coming in that I'm like, you should not be in school today.
I've experienced the worst. And I've caught the worst germs from kids when I was a teacher. Okay. That first year was brutal. I think I might have had, listen. The first years for any teachers are rough.
I know. I remember.
Your immune system has to adjust.
I agree. So logistics, our schedule, and of course you can make this whatever you want. If you think 9 to 12 is enough for your group, fine. Our group is going to do a 9 to 5, but our instruction is going to go from 9 to 3. And from 3 to 5, parents have a flexible pickup based on their needs. Now, I know not everybody's a teacher, but you know what? Here are just some basics that I threw in Teaching 101. If you want to read through those, there's just a couple things that I remember from my teaching background that I thought helped me. So I put that in there for you. This is great to print and put up. And soon, Ebony, I'm going to have this available in a tapestry.
Oh, love it.
So this is basically, I'm done, now what? This is a great thing to hang up in your kitchen or anywhere that your teaching area is going to be, so that when one of the students is done, they can choose from this list and quietly do what they need to do, so they're not distracting the other students, and the other students can keep working with you. Sticky notes, I'm a big fan of in the morning, kind of creating goal notes with each of the students for them to have on the side that they can work on and know what they're trying to obtain that day. Screen time, once again, you and your group need to decide how much screen time are you going to do. Are you just going to use it for that virtual portion from the school district where they're watching the live instruction, or are you going to use it for other things too? And I made up on, and this doesn't necessarily have to be for the teaching. This is kind of more for parents, and this is going to be available in the tapestry too, is screen time rules. You know, here are some ways that you can earn screen time through activity time during the day. Goals, I think it's important to set goals together as your group that you're going to choose to do this with in the fall, whether it's your plan A or plan B. And one of our big goals was concepts beyond Common Core. So basically, what are some things beyond just the curriculum goals that we want to accomplish with our group of students? What's important to us? And this is what we came up with. You know, and sometimes if you think about it, some of the basics I feel are looked past, not because teachers just missed it or it's not in Common Core, but because they have a lot of students to focus on, and some of those basic things are just missed. For example, I feel like telling time, measuring, you know, some of these things like where we are on a map, I mean, are missed. And I mean, I remember I had
even cursive writing is missed now.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
just saying.
absolutely. There's a lot of those basic skills I feel like that are missed. So we're going to focus on that, but we're also going to go above and beyond and focus on some enrichment ideas that we talked about, reaching out to your community. You know, like for example, here I have second language. That's not something our district offers, and that's something we decided we're going to do with our group, is we're going to do Spanish. I mean, if you do a word or two a day, the kids can really learn a lot in the next, you know, in this next year. So right here, once again, reaching out to your community. There are so many ideas depending on where you live and who's in your group. But if you start talking to people, you start talking to aunts, uncles, grandmas, grandpas, there are people that you can bring in without a fee for sure. Classroom rules. This is just a simple one I made, but I think it's important for your group to sit together and to make their own classroom rules so they feel ownership over them.
Love it.
Here's just a basic schedule, and this schedule may not look the same at every house throughout the week, because it will all be based on that mom's teaching skills and how she likes to do things. And I think it's good for the students to learn how things run in different households as well. I think it's a great real life experience for them, but this is just a basic rundown. I'm not going to go through it all, but one of the main things I just wanted to mention is I think it's so important to start off with a morning meeting, because it gives the students and the children an opportunity to kind of talk about if anything's bothering them, to ask questions, to go over the day with them. And I think it eliminates some of the problems that you might have later on. I was always a huge fan of morning meeting when I was a teacher.
I say, you know, even if you aren't homeschooling, I just think that's one of those things that even as families, if you guys are all home right now, like start off your morning with a meeting. I do it every morning. We go through our day. What are the plans? What's happening? What are the expectations for that day? Because we want to make sure we're holding each other accountable in our home, because right now we are also working as a community. See, a lot of us have been so busy, we really haven't been working together as a unit. And I think it's important, and I think that's a great way to start off any day. Just my suggestion.
No, I 100% agree with you that this can be implemented into
and a lot of these things. That's what I'm saying. So even if you're not planning on doing the pod, if you are planning on the virtual learning at all, a lot of these resources, most of them are applicable.
100%, Ebony. And I think that these are just great skills that they're going to carry later on when they do blend back into the classroom, whether it's this school year or the school year after next, fingers crossed. So just some basic homeschool supplies that I put on here, all things that you could probably get at the Dollar Tree. And then basically here, I just put a couple questions on deciding if you think the shared homeschooling model following the virtual school format is right for your family. So I added that in there as well. And then I just added some more just little things that you could probably print off and use as well. So that's what we came up with.
I love
we think that this is gonna work well for us.
And at the very least, it sparks ideas, even like I say,
it
no
does.
matter what, you shouldn't feel, we're trying our best, but that's why I have this channel. I'm a solutions focused. And I think even just listening to you go through that, it sparks so many ideas in me. Like, maybe I can't maybe 1 week will be bad, but maybe I can get someone in to do a lesson, if I have a really busy work week even, but I think it's important we consider all of our options, like so important.
I 100% agree with you, Ebony. So you take this, you take the best and leave the rest, or you just make it your own. If maybe you don't need to go to a workplace and you just don't want all the pressure, maybe you just partner up with one mom and you guys switch. You're Monday, Wednesday, she's Thursday, Tuesday, and then Fridays, there's nobody. But at least it's something to take the pressure off. At least it's something for them to get an additional experience and to learn things a different way. You know what I mean? It's better than nothing. And I think some planning will go a long way here. Just finding those other moms that are in the same boat, which is everybody again, and just getting together with them, have a couple meetings, invite some moms over, invite some Plan A and Plan B moms. You can all talk. We're having 2 more meetings next week. Tuesday, we're having a Plan A meeting. Wednesday, we're having a Plan B meeting so that moms can meet each other, helping the community out and kind of figure out if they want to partner up or just to get ideas. Like you said, let's get ideas off each other. And when you're talking about it, you're thinking of more things. At the meeting last week, someone said something and I said, oh my God, I think it was about hugging and whatnot. I'm like, I didn't even include that. But that's another rule you have to think about when you're sending your kids to other people's houses is, are you okay with touching and stuff and people hugging your kids and, safety things that I included in there as well to consider in the different houses to be prepared and different house rules, etc. But it just, once you get talking, it really, really helps to brainstorm and get those ideas together and make this realistic and attainable, because the more you talk about it, the more comfortable I think you're going to get, and then you're going to feel better.
Yeah, and I hope to also have you back on, like, as we get started to, like, check back in, and maybe we'll, I think this is a time where we can't be rigid. We have to be flexible. We have to give ourselves grace, and so 1 week might not look like the next week, but you know what? We're doing the best that we can for our kids, and we just got to kind of like get through this, but again, thank you so much for this resource. I just want to, before I let you go today, I know I've kept you probably way longer than you thought. Hit that like and subscribe button though, guys. Hit the like and subscribe. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Do you feel a little better? Feel a little better? But I want to talk about, in your perfect world, I don't even know I should ask this, but in your perfect world, obviously, I know your back to school plan, like mine would be all kids safely back to school, like some way, but that's just not a reality right now. So I guess I want to ask kind of a loaded question for you. What are some things that you would like to see maybe the districts consider from a parent's perspective that you think maybe either they're not considering or maybe we don't know? Because again, I know they're probably considering it all, but what are some things that you think that you wish was kind of maybe in this planner that were considered? It can be, and in your ideal, like, do you have an ideal school plan? Is there an ideal way to go about this? Just your thoughts on that before we end? I don't know.
I think you're right. That's such a loaded question. I think that there are so many, it's hard right now because I notice on social media, everybody seems to be really one way or everybody seems to be really another way. And I've been really avoiding sharing some things because I think that it's a very touchy subject right now, and everybody thinks that they're right and their way is right. So it's just very touchy. But I mean, in my perfect scenario, I would see the children going back to school without the uncertainty of schools closing. I mean, that would be my ideal, without the distancing children out, without making them eat lunch in the classroom, without canceling specials or making specials in the classroom, without punishing the students if they want to hang out together or play during their creative learning time or whatnot. So that would be my ideal if I had it. But I just don't see that happening this school year. I'm hoping that will be happening for next school year because I would love my children to transition back in.
Same. I'm hoping this. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, well, thank you. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to provide all your resources and ways that you all can contact Joanna, reach out to her. She has a wonderful, not only blog, but she also has an online store full of educational products, from blankets with sight words, from incontinence, whatever. Please go on there. It's just a wonderful resource. So thank you so much. And yeah, any final thoughts before we go?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ebony. And I just want to tell everybody, I am not an expert. I did teach for quite a few years, but this is just kind of my brain dump, I should say, a few nights in a row, where this is the best that I could come up with my family, for my family, and it makes me feel better. I feel so much better having a plan right now, and I just want you to know I'm not an expert, but if you do want to email me, my email will be down below. I'm happy to try to answer any questions. And if we have any other local moms that know me that want to get in on our meetings, for if you're plan A or if this is your plan B, or if you're just curious to see what other moms are interested in, want to brainstorm with us, more than happy to help. We're all in this together, and it takes a village.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe. And I will be back in a few more days with the panel of teachers. But thank you so much. The only thing I want to add is that I do want to say, what makes you not an expert? You know, what's an expert, right? I'm just saying. I like talking that about people. Like, don't talk yourselves down. You all know I'm about positivity, but what makes you not an expert with your experience? So thank you so much for your expertise. And yeah, talk to you guys soon. Bye.